Hello everybody, hello. Welcome to the healing and light language for the beginning of September. Of course, this is timeless. You can listen to it at any time, but it's being recorded at the beginning of September 2020. I'm outside in the little fairy areas close to where I live. So you may hear outside sounds around me. We haven't done one of these in a while. And most of the light language, no, I would say there's probably a healthy balance already on the channel of light language from the stars and light language from earth elementals. But one I don't think I've ever done is light language that is part of my mother tongue. So today we are going to do some light language from the Danan, the Tuatha De Danann, who is who are connected to me through my maternal grandmother's bloodlines. So it is part of my bloodline. And right now, as I think about what we're going to be talking about, I'm just bringing in the energy within and around the fairy mounds, the British Isles, which is also part of my bloodline. So I don't really talk too much about personal stuff on here, but that is part of my bloodline. So it was funny because all along, like, my mother kept telling me, like, oh, we're Portuguese, like, we're from on my mother's, like, grandfather's side of the family was from the Azores, and my mom's like, I always grew up, my Portuguese was my first language, and then French, and then English. So I always just thought that Portuguese, like Portugal and Spain, were my main parts of my bloodline. And then I did like a little ancestry thing, and it turned out that I'm like 90% UK, Ireland, and Scotland. And so that is like all from my father's side of the family, because he's Clan Cameron from Scotland, and originally my name was supposed to be Heather, for the heather of the Highlands, the Scottish heather, the actual plant. And I was then, my mom changed her mind and named me Tami after the tam o'shanter. And so wow, so get emotional. Emotions come out just thinking about that. So anyway, so the UK is calling me home, and I was born within 100 miles of the Tor and Glastonbury and Avalon, but I don't remember anything about that because I left when I was little. So the UK is calling me home. And then when my maternal grandmother, who I never knew, she passed away having my mom, but she said, she told me just from the astrals, and she showed me that we were down, our bloodline came down from the Danan, which resonated very strongly with me. So this little healing episode has taken somewhat of a little tiny different turn, but I always trust what the guides and my higher self are bringing through in these messages and in this healing. So this is healing for people who are listening to it, especially those of us who resonate, or who, I don't just resonate, like, I know I'm a starseed, I know, some of the main stars and planets and places that, that I come from, but we also, as starseeds, made an oath to come and help Gaia. And some of us, many of us listening to this, have been doing this work upon Gaia for many, many lifetimes. And even though we're starseeds, like, we just have a deep love and affinity for Mother Earth. And our ancestral bloodlines, through our paternal and maternal lines, run very deeply within her. And so you can't just say, like, I'm a starseed, I want to go home, which is sometimes what I do say, like, get me off this planet. But then, I realize I made a solemn vow and an oath to be here and to serve on this planet. And so it's just a little message of healing for those of you who maybe do feel, alone at this time. The ancestors are always calling out to us and helping us to see that Gaia really is here to support us, and she is like a mother to those of us who, maybe do miss our home, one of our other homes that are off planet. So, I have a very strong bond with Lyra, and Lyra was, overcome and basically destroyed. So there was no home there. You're like, we lost our home. And at that point, we're taken in by other star families who helped train us to come here and serve. So this is almost like a heart opening. The only intention I set when I sat down to record this was I just wanted to share the feeling of the mother of Gaia. And to me, that was to bring through the dawn and light language, which we are going to do here in a minute. But I do encourage you to sit with the ancestors for a little bit, in whatever way they come through to you, and feel into those bloodlines. So even though, like, I would say, and think about your past lives, like, where were your past lives mainly located at? The ones that you most fondly and are able to recall. And if you can't recall any, then, I just say go onto YouTube, or meditate or whatever, with the intention of learning about a past life that's significant for you. And we don't have to go anymore and learn about, like, the negative ones, although we do want to clear that karma and that energy from our energetic field, and we want to clear those out. But we don't always have to look for the ones that were, horrific. Just look for one that's meaningful to you. And when I think back about the ones I've been shown, the main ones that are meaningful to me all happened in what is now the UK, or what is now, the Hawaiian Islands. So we're talking Lemuria and Avalon area. those are the ones that are significant to me. And I would say the West Coast, but that was like a Lemurian line anyway, so that's why that's significant. But I didn't feel like I had very many past lives here in what is now the United States. I had a few Native American ones, but the U.S., which they're calling the New Atlantis, which for me personally, I did not have happy times in Atlantis. I don't fondly remember it like some people do. My gifts were not used for the best of intentions there. So those of us that came from Lemuria to Atlantis were not, our gifts were not used for the highest good at times. So I guess in a way this is a past life healing message, because this is going to trigger those memories to come up for you and to heal them. And this light language that we're going to do is going to help with that. But the ones I remember the most fondly are, like I said, Lemuria and Avalon, and those are the energetic spaces that I work with most now in the work that I do with people. So explore those places and those spaces. I mean, it will help lead you home. Like the motherland, my ancestral land is calling me home, and I do intend to go back there and to stay there. And the area around the UK and Scotland and Ireland and all that area is being called, most of that eastern part of Europe is being called the New Lemuria. And I want to go home. I want to go be there. It's not that, I don't live where I'm at, like the United States. I like it. And there was a point in time when I felt like, I really was drawn here for a reason. And then the more you shift timelines and the more you ascend and get closer to who you really are, the more that you'll find your service work is calling you maybe elsewhere, somewhere you didn't even expect. And it's so funny because if you have children, and anybody who has kids nowadays, those children are so plugged in and so awakened and so open to what's going on, even if they hide it from you. They know who to open up to. And some of them aren't completely obviously open up to their journey yet, but they are opened up to what's going on around them. They understand the truth. They see the truth for what it really is. And we have got to nurture that in them. And so my son, who has never really been thrust into the 3D world of formal education and all of that, like he's been homeschooled his entire life. He's been open psychically. I have never closed that down in him, and I don't feel like he's closed that down in himself. And he spent pretty much most of his life with me. So as I evolve, he evolves. As I awaken, he awakens. It's just part of being close to those energetics, and he's just kind of soaking that up like a sponge. And it's so amazing because the past few weeks, I've heard him online with his friends, playing video games or doing whatever. And he's starting to speak light language, and he doesn't realize it. And I don't want to tell him yet that that's what it is, because I don't want him to be self-conscious about it and possibly to shut it down. So you may start to notice those things. And I even heard him, like, with his friends were like, what is that you're doing? And he's like, it's just some language I'm talking. Like, he didn't know what it was. He was calling it like Spanish or something. He was just saying that it was something else. But he's very intuitive, and he told me, like, Mom, by the end of the year you have to get passports. And he's the one that when I was going to go to Hawaii, I didn't tell him yet that I was going to leave to go to Hawaii, just on a little personal vacation. And he came to me, this was when he was really small, like, well, I don't know, 5 or 6 or something, 7 maybe. And he came to me with a Hawaiian lei on, just one of the little things I kind of had. And he was wearing it, and he was talking about Hawaii, and I was like, oh my God, he already knows I'm going there. So don't discount, don't discount the little ones and what they know. And I think that this is part of, your awakening process too, is just tuning in to your kids and just, they're not just kids. Sometimes they have more to share than what we know, and mine's coming up with all these prophetic dreams and stuff, and talking to me now about prophetic. He didn't know it was a prophetic dream, but he did tell me about it. Like, Mom, I don't normally share my dreams with you, but I had this dream the other night, and I know I have to share it with you. And it was a prophetic dream about what's supposed to happen the remainder of 2020. And I actually shared that on my Instagram. If any of you follow me on Instagram, you can go back and look at that on my IGTV. So I think that's enough talking for now. This kind of went off in many different areas that Spirit, I think, wants to bring to people's attention. And really being childlike is being like your inner child, like bringing it out. And that is part of the Fae and the She and the Danan. Like, they weren't just warriors. Like, they honored the Mother Earth, and they honored childlike innocence and wonder, and they didn't get caught up in, back then there wasn't really like the 3D world like there is now, but those were the qualities that they embodied, and that's what's going to come through in this light language, is their warrior spirit. For those of you that came from off planet and feel alone, like, you are a spiritual warrior. You are here to help Gaia. You did make a solemn vow that you would do your service work here. So even though we want to go home, sometimes there may not be a home to go back to. You go back there in the astrals maybe. But it's time to step forward and honor the vow that you've made to the Mother. And she needs your energetics now to help with this New Earth Now project and bringing the new Lemuria and the new, hopefully with intention, better improved Atlantis, birthing that. Honoring your inner child, staying true to you, and let's just keep going. And that's the messages that this light language is going to open up for you, is going to activate within you. So without further ado, let's bring this through, because we know that the transmission sometimes doesn't take very long, and all the talking kind of leading up to it is what takes the most. But I do know that people sometimes are like, just get on with the light language. But I think that this is so rich and meaningful that I don't want to just come on and do it. Sometimes just do light language. Sometimes it is the time to just come on and just do a quick clearing. But for some of these other ones, it is part of the service work to help you understand what you're receiving and why, and what's being activated and for what purpose. So let's get comfortable now if you aren't already, because my voice, the light language that even just comes through my speaking voice, is meant to kind of lull you into peace and harmony, slowing down. We've got the nature spirits around us in this little spot that I'm sitting outside. And now just be open to receive whatever this brings forward in you. It could be tears, it could be joy, it could be clearing and healing. There we go. Rutu panjara iko yum nyare
origin yerkaretiara tu Renjero kurutun yitior niare are wortiara hanya orodu Nyan yuru turan iran ega aran ire art o Nyan arjo onjari tiatio Anye ere orn ayam arkaye. Shinjaro ju. Meanye areria rurum yera kiet yena ara. Ara arenya rutu shire e. Hayaro oroturun yurarindia Miana aye Mana ere Monyare kiara heria sinia turutu Miana are kiara churutenya ai eisyotutu Mera is kiara nya yoro tiara tie. Nyara hurnyere nya orui. Nyane nya yorui. Myan yare ke tururunye. Nyaren yake. Oreishi Orenye
Just take a deep breath. I can't even speak. This is going to flush through a lot of, I think, sadness, they're saying. Like, let's bring it to the surface, flush it through. Let's drink plenty of water to supplement the tears that are going to be lost as we just open ourselves to the Mother. Thank you for listening. Take care.